All right, let's get into the latest on Brandon Ingram. And I'll tell you what, it's not pretty necessarily for the New Orleans Pelicans. Here's the deal. This is from Jake Fisher saying that Ingram's name very rarely comes up in conversations with league personnel. It's been that way ever since the former All-Star forward went down with an ankle injury on December 7th. There remains a chance that Ingram returns to New Orleans lineup with roughly a week's worth of games before the deadline, which will give potential suitors more of a look at his current abilities. But the Pelicans are also open to re-signing him. So I think we're still stuck in that spot, Donnie, where teams would be interested in Brandon Ingram, but no one wants to give him that next contract. He was not amenable to a New Orleans offer that landed in the $40 million range.
Wow.
Donnie,
come on, BI.
Right. If I'm any team and I'm hearing that he won't take $40 million, he wants 50, I'm out. BI. Like, you have to be.
That's crazy. That's still a raise on what he's getting here. 40 million range. I don't know that he's worth 50. Like, that's I don't blame him for trying to get it. Not at all. Like, if you're a player, obviously you try to get every cent available to you. I just think it's unrealistic to think that he's going to get 50 because I don't think there's a team in the league that's giving it to him.
The problem is that under the old CBA, he gets 50.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. If you're Brandon Ingram, you're going, cool, I'm getting fit. And then, wait, what happened? No, what do you mean? No, I want 50. That's what I'm supposed to get. I want 50. I don't care if there's a new CBA. I want 50. That's what I expect to get. And clearly that's not what he's getting.
That's because that became the norm under the old CBA. Yeah. Every single semi all-star or all-star once type player is like, okay, I'm up for a new contract. Sure, here's a max deal. You're getting it. Everyone's getting max deals. And I don't really blame them for thinking that that's how that should be. But the rug gets pulled from under them now. And all teams are like, oh, actually, we can't give you this because these restrictions are in place and we want to be flexible, which again is fair. But if you're BI, unfortunately, you're in a spot where you have to play by the new rules. And the new rules say you're not getting 50 million. And even guys that kind of are grandfathered into the system right now that got one of those deals before they changed the CBA, like a guy like Levine, who's awesome, but just basically can't be traded. It's unfortunate because it's too much money. Like, these teams are not going to bite on that.
That's just it, right? If you give Brandon Ingram 50, congrats, you've got the new Zach LaVine contract. That's what you're doing. And that's why he's still a Pelican right now. Yeah. Because nobody wants that. But here's what's interesting about all this. The Pelicans, much like the Heat, are not worried about free agency. So normally there'd be that threat with Brandon Ingram being able to say, well, cool, then you're going to lose me for nothing this summer. And Jimmy Butler is doing the same thing with the Miami Heat. Hey, you guys don't want to move me? Fine. You're going to lose me for nothing this summer. Both the Heat and the Pelicans are playing this game of chicken with their star players in Brandon Ingram and Jimmy Butler and saying, yeah, go ahead. Where are you going to go? There's no place to go. Brooklyn doesn't want these guys. They're in a rebuild. They don't want them. Washington doesn't want them. Nobody else has cap space. Where are they going? And their incumbent teams are recognizing this and playing hardball with them. And so something has to give here, Donnie. Something has to give with these situations. And I don't know. It's possible that all parties involved are stubborn enough to where they're still staring at each other come June.
Remember who was it? Was it Jimmy or BI? The odds came out and it was Shanghai Sharks.
That was Jimmy. That was Jimmy.
Could you imagine? Do you think BI takes a pay cut to go to a winning franchise?
I mean, how much of a pay cut? Like, that's if he's willing to take 40, the Pelicans just say, well, we're not going to trade you. Just take 40 from us.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't think they want to bottom out right now. It's just they're not able to reach agreement with him.
Yeah. The $51 million opt-in is scarier than Butler walking for nothing. What, paying him $50 million to opt in for next year?
That's just 1 year, though.
That's just 1 year. It's the years. It's not the.
He wants a $50 million extension for the next 3-4 years. Like, that's terrifying to me. Not only because it's multi-years, but because he's going to be approaching 40. And I just don't trust him in his health at 37, 38, 30. It's tough.
And he's got a team that's actually willing to give it to him. So that's the difference, right? With the Jimmy Butler and the Brandon Ingram situation is Butler knows Phoenix will give him, maybe it'll only be 2 years, but they'll still give him the money that he wants. And Brandon Ingram, I don't think the money is out there for him. So that's a difference between the two. But otherwise, it's a very similar situation. And again, Zach LaVine is the cautionary. Zach LaVine, you couldn't ask for Zach LaVine in your wildest dreams to play better than he's playing right now. Yeah. And it still doesn't matter. Right. So it's not like you could give Brandon Ingram $50 million and say, but there's always a chance he could play so great that he'll be worth it. No, Zach LaVine is playing out of his mind. And teams still don't want to touch that contract.
I'm sure there's a bunch of guys. I'm sure there's a bunch of guys that were on these max deals that just got off them and were faced with this same situation and were like, okay, well, I have to take a pay cut because that's just what the CBA is now. Yeah. Because everybody was getting them for a while. And, you have the tale of LaVine. He's played great, but you also have the other side of that coin where you have a player that gets a max deal in Beal, and it doesn't look good either. So, like, it's not. You just can't do this, I don't think, anymore, which is unfortunate. I think they went overboard with the CBA, all that stuff. So Jimmy wants to go to Phoenix. That's pretty well documented. Yeah. Do you think there's any way he's signed and traded there? Can they even get that done?
No, because the Suns still can't aggregate salaries in a trade to stack up to make that work.
There's like they have.
It's got to be Bradley Beal. Like that's the way to do it. It's got to be Bradley Beal, and nobody wants Bradley Beal.
God dang, Trev.
I mean, it sounds so cold, but it's true. On that I guess that has to be specified, right? Like when I say nobody wants Zach LaVine, nobody wants Brandon Ingram. No, these guys are good players, just not on their current contracts. People don't want that.
I get your point. It's just hilarious. Like, nobody wants Bradley Beal.
Somewhere Bradley Beal is like he just hangs his head and like there's a little tear dribbling down his cheek right now.
It's the 50 Cent meme where he's like, I'm like, why you say F me for? Did you see that?
What do you say F me for? Now,
I'm sorry, Bradley Beal, but it's true. And this, I mean, to put a bow on the Brandon Ingram stuff, this goes all the way back to that I like Brandon Ingram with the Detroit Pistons. But not if it costs me, not if it's $50 million. Then no thanks. Then I'm, hey, I might talk to the Pelicans about CJ McCollum or something like that if I'm Detroit. So I've got a veteran guard to go turn to. But if BI is really set on this, no, I need $50 million. I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, I also really like CJ in Detroit as well. We talked about that too.
It'd be a good fit. All right, let's go. Let's jump here. We do have a little bit more news to get into, but which players are most likely for a buyout for the Lakers? Or let's change this to really any tier 1 apron team. One of the things to keep in mind are the new collective bargaining agreement. Any team that is above the tier 1 apron cannot sign a player who's bought out that's making more than the mid-level exception. So I know there's a lot of Lakers fans saying, "Oh, Lonzo could get bought out." Lakers can't sign him. Can't sign because he's making $20 million. So you would not be eligible to sign him. Whoever gets bought out, in order to be eligible to sign them, that player would have to be making less than the MLE. So let's say Jonas Valanciunas got bought out. The Lakers or any other tier 1 team could sign him. He's making less than the MLE. But Lonzo, Vucevic, Ben Simmons, nope. And so what I think the effect of that is going to be is that the buyout market is going to be nerfed to a degree, because some of these veteran players, they would negotiate buyouts fairly aggressively because they knew, hey, I've got like 5 teams that want to pick me up. The problem is that market has basically been cut in half, where most of the teams that they would want to go to that are contending teams are not able to pick them up under the new CBA. So if that's the case, if I'm, let's say, Ben Simmons, and I look out there and I go, oh, well, there's no team available that I really want to sign with, why give up any money in order to get to a team that I don't want to go to anymore?
There's one team that's got a pretty good chance to win it that they can go to.
OKC is the exception, right? But I mean, that's the other thing. Like, we're going to talk about Cam Johnson in a minute. Does OKC want to disrupt their chemistry at all, bringing in like a big time name? Maybe not. So we'll see what that all looks like. But I think we're going to get, as much as optimistic I am about the trade deadline, I think the buyout market isn't going to be as interesting as it's been in years past.
There's a comment saying, if D'Lo gets bought out, can the Lakers get him? No. Anybody making more than mid-level, which is about 13 million, they can't. Yep. It's not possible.
Right. Now he could go to the Thunder or something.
Yeah. The Thunder. So the reason why is because the Thunder's team has not hit apron level yet, which is crazy.
Yeah. They will next year, but my
They will,
God,
yeah. It's crazy.
they're kicking everybody's ass right now, and yeah,
And getting
and by the
for
way,
it.
because the Lakers traded D'Lo too, they also couldn't pick him up for that reason.
That's the Zydrunas rule, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the old Zydrunas Ilgazi, the Cavs traded him, and then he's like, "Cool, I'll take a month off and then go right
I
back."
remember that. That was
so
hilarious.
funny.
Hilarious.